So putting an individual who's not used to that pressurized situation in that role would be part of the fail. And certainly when you look at catastrophic incidents, part of the fail concerning the Duke's mother back in 1997 was the fact that an individual was driving a car, not familiar with that car, not trained with that car, and obviously he was intoxicated. It's an extremely difficult situation because you are dealing with a group of individuals who don't play with any rules. Very different to the regulated press here in the UK, but even the UK paparazzi don't play with any rules. So it is a difficult situation, and certainly in my time as a protection officer, we used to always try and engage and communicate with these people and explain that, this is a protection operation. There is a reason for us being here. We're happy for you to take the pictures that you want to take. However, you will not chase the car, you will not block the car in, and you will not step out of the line or the spot that we've put you in to take that picture. So there's an element of negotiation, but of course sometimes that doesn't work. So you have to factor in how you're going to deal with the paparazzi. How you're going to get from A to B is always part of your protection plan, but you've got to factor in maybe a place of safety and indeed some form of law enforcement involvement, because it may switch, and as it did with this incident, from a security operation to a public safety operation. And somebody on the law enforcement side then has to get involved to support that before the situation deteriorates.
And I suppose that's the nub of it for lots of people listening, because they might wonder, well, look, Meghan and Harry would have expected, as you've just said there, that there would be photographers at this event. They would have expected that they would be followed potentially in their car. Does this come down to a lack of planning? I mean, why on earth, for example, did they get out of the car that they left the event in and get into a random taxi? Because that seems to be a very strange decision if you're very worried about what's happening around you.
It does from the outside, but certainly the actual protection team would have had a plan. Their private protection team would have had a plan, and the paparazzi would have been factored into that plan. When you put a protection operation together, you look to mitigate the risks. And then once you've done that, you have to put a series of contingencies in place. It's the protector's officer's world. What if I do this and that will happen, and what if I don't do that? What will happen?
But would you ever, Simon, have put in a contingency of getting into a cab in New York City? Would that have ever been part of your plan?
It's difficult to say because I sit here in the cold light of day and with the value of hindsight. If you look at the scenario that a London taxi, for argument's sake, can use a bus lane, can turn right and left where other cars can't. So it may have been part of that. One of the concerns for me would be putting somebody, a protected principal, in a vehicle with a driver who is not trained at a security level. Part of that protection package with the Sussexes is to have a protection trained driver. So therefore, they're all thinking the same way. They're all singing off the same song sheet. So putting an individual who's not used to that pressurized situation in that role would be part of the fail. And certainly when you look at catastrophic incidents, part of the fail concerning the Duke's mother back in 1997 was the fact that an individual was driving a car, not familiar with that car, not trained with that car, and obviously he was intoxicated as well. So yes, it does seem a bit of a strange situation to transfer cars, but there may have been a rationale that an element of subterfuge and an element of being able to move quicker through the traffic by using a taxi may have been the option if the threat level had decreased at that point.
Yeah. And would those kinds of decisions be made by Meghan and Harry, or would they be made by somebody leading their security protection? I suppose, how much control would Meghan and Harry themselves have had over that situation?
They have a protection team, and a protection team of professionals for the reason that they are the professionals within that sector. Yes, you will converse with your principals, but they shouldn't be dictating tactics to you as a professional. From a Duke of Sussex's perspective, he knows a lot about protection. The royal family have cradle to grave protection, so he would be fully aware of what that should look like, what its limitations are, and what his expectations are also as well. But I think it does come down to the team leader to devise that strategy and then implement the strategy with the with the rest of the team, because ultimately the buck stops with him. He is the team leader and responsible for the security and safety of those principals.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Royal Sussex Squad, your go-to place for everything Sussex. Today we've got a fascinating discussion about Prince Harry's protection, the challenges faced by his security team, and why the decision to jump into a taxi raised so many questions. Stay tuned as we break it all down. You know, the complexities of royal security are something we often don't think about, but it's not as simple as just having a bodyguard around. A lot of planning goes into making sure the Sussexes are safe. And that includes dealing with the paparazzi, who often make that task even more challenging. As we know, Prince Harry's mother, Princess Diana, tragically passed away in 1997 due to a high-speed crash while being chased by paparazzi. This incident really highlighted the dangers of unregulated press, and it's something Harry is very familiar with, having witnessed it firsthand. Now, looking at the recent situation with Harry and Meghan in New York, some folks were left scratching their heads when they jumped into a taxi after leaving an event. Was this a lack of planning, or was there a reason behind it? Security experts have noted that when the Sussexes protection team puts together a plan, they factor in every possible scenario, including the presence of paparazzi. They use strategies like negotiation, where they ask the press not to block the car or step into dangerous positions while taking photos. But what happens when those negotiations break down? Well, sometimes the situation escalates and law enforcement might need to step in. So security planning goes beyond just making sure they're in the right place at the right time. It's about having contingencies ready in case things go sideways. A former protection officer pointed out something interesting. If you think about it, putting a person into a car with a driver who isn't familiar with the high-pressure nature of royal security might be part of the problem. In a situation where quick thinking and maneuvering are crucial, it could lead to complications. For Harry and Meghan, the decision to hop into a taxi instead of their usual security-driven vehicle could have been an attempt to move quickly through traffic, especially if the threat level had decreased. But the concern was whether the protection team had fully prepared for that specific move and whether it was the best decision in the moment. So who makes these kinds of decisions? Is it Harry and Meghan, or does the security team call the shots? Well, while the Sussexes are certainly involved in their safety strategy, the decisions are ultimately made by the team leader. The team leader is the one who takes responsibility for the security and safety of the couple. Sure, Harry, with his background, is well aware of the risks and security needs, but the professionals on the ground are the ones who devise and execute the plans. They work under the assumption that Harry and Meghan trust them to make the right call. It's easy to Monday morning quarterback these kinds of situations, especially when we're not in the heat of the moment. But when it comes to protecting the royals, every decision matters, and that includes the timing and methods used to keep them safe. What do you think? Was it a simple mistake, or was there more to the taxi move than meets the eye? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more royal insights. Thanks for watching, everyone. Until next time, this is Royal Sussex Squad signing off.